And welcome to another edition of Authority Marketing Live. I am Melanie Hirschhorn, book marketing strategist for nonfiction authors. And I'm so excited because today I have a friend of mine who is joining me on the show. And we met through a really fun group called The Advance. And it is a networking group for high-powered women entrepreneurs. And I think there's like one man in it. But it's really fun and it's really great. So if you want to check out the Advance, you can. But I want to invite my friend Dawn Reeby to join. But before I do, I want to tell you a little bit about her book. It's called Bigger Than Data, a law enforcement analyst's roadmap to marketability, professional development, fulfillment, and joy. And so we're going to be talking about the book and all sorts of fun stuff. And so here she is. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, hello, Melanie. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm so happy you're here. And I feel like my Wi-Fi is being a little wonky. So if I'm like pixelated, I apologize. Hopefully you look great. You always look great.
You look great too.
So let's talk about the book itself. So what motivated you to write a book about marketability for law enforcement?
Yeah. So I've been in law enforcement analytics since the 90s and took a little hiccup of a break and came back and did even more analytics. And, I was at a local police agency doing the analytics and then building out capacity for other agencies, basically to use the information like those 911 calls and burglary series and suspect information, use it in a way that drives the decisions of the agencies so that they're less reactive and more proactive, right? Saving money, building relationships with the community and so forth.
That's like everything we want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so really equipping our officers with tools to succeed, right? And so I started working for these federal entities who would basically, and state, who would basically send me throughout the country to help build analytical capacity at specific police agencies. And it's very similar to fire and EMS as well, but I just happen to be in the police side. And I would go in and I'd do the technologies. I would help them build the physical capacities, right? Like the tools, the techniques, how to analyze and so forth, how to access data. But I kept on seeing this reoccurring theme of these amazing people, these analysts who are not frontline officers. So these are the folks who are behind the scenes doing the forensics or doing the analysis of a pattern of behavior. So these folks and the supervisors. So I just saw this pattern of, they won't let me, or not taking really good care of themselves. They'd bring a lot of work home with them to prove themselves. They'd work late nights, maybe in a real-time event center where they would get called in if there was a murder or something like that. But they were so behind the scenes that they just felt that they had to say yes to everything. And all of this really was leading to them feeling burnt out, right? And retention stinks. They would flop to any police agency just who would pay them more or whatever the case might be. And so this constant theme of lack of confidence, burnout, lack of buy-in from the police agencies where they had to prove themselves on a regular basis and so forth. It angered me. I'm like, stand up for yourself. And so it also angered me because I knew the chiefs. I worked with the chiefs. I worked with the executives, and I knew that they wanted someone to rise up and just lead the pack in terms of analytics. And so I spent the last several years coaching supervisors and the analysts themselves in doing just that, and really stepping into their power, being excellent in their career and being excellent in their home life too, really shutting it off when they need to shut it off and so forth. And so I would kind of collect all these stories, these beautiful successes of amazing people just rising above and building that confidence and getting and sustaining the jobs in a healthy way. And so I was collecting all these stories, and it wasn't until last year, probably around April or so, that someone in my life said, "Hey, where's your book?" And I was like, "What do you mean, where's my book?" And I was already so occupied and prioritized that having one more thing. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "A woman like you writes a book." And what he meant was, anyone with any passion, the way that we had, right? We have writes a book, not anyone in particular, like anybody, like you, everyone looking at this has something that they care about deeply. And in that, he meant go get this on paper so that you can make a change in the world. And so I did. So that's kind of like the long drawn out of it, but that's
I
how
love
it
it.
happened.
No, I love it. And that you're absolutely right. Like that is the motivation that you needed because you had all these wonderful stories and you're working to make a difference in the world. And why not put it on paper so that you can impact more people?
Exactly. And the book mirrors we have a
Yeah,
coaching
hold it
company.
up. Hold it up. Okay, go ahead.
So thank you. Our coaching company, we coach analysts and supervisors. And so so this mirrors the analyst program, and I'm working on a book right now for the supervisor version of the program. But there's some basic things in here that we forget to do. There's some key things that need to be really in place, mindset wise, technology wise, and really execution wise, right? That just need to be in place for someone to be truly giving of their gifts in the law enforcement analytical arena, but also doing it in a way that brings them joy and fulfillment in all areas of their lives. And so getting this into so many hands already, I'm just so thankful for. I have people reaching out all the time saying, oh my gosh, I'm on this module in your book, and I've done this today to make a change and to show up as my best self. And it just makes me melt inside.
Oh, I love that. Isn't that that is the best. So let me ask you a question. How does happy, positive law enforcement analyst impact society as a whole? Because I want to make sure that people understand that these analysts don't live in a bubble here.
Right.
What are the greater implications on society as a whole?
Well, I think first they can be a better analyst. They can be a better analyst if their life is of joy, if they're living their best lives. And so with that, they can identify suspects quickly. They can deploy resources in a cost-efficient way. They can help the operations of a police agency. Thus, the money in the city is used in the best possible way. They can make our officers safe. They can make our communities safe. So there are these people who can tap into all these different data sources and study profile, behavior, location profile, all these different angles, and really help get the folks off the streets who need to be off the streets, right, in a way that sticks. And so they play a very critical role on so many levels. And so that in and of itself is huge financially for a community, but also safety wise for a community. These people also come home. I mean, I was an analyst for many years, and I'm reading the intricacies of a rape, a murder, a robbery, and I'm trying to make connections between why this person raped this way this time and raped this way this time, why this person robbed this liquor store and not this one. And so we are in that mess quite a bit, and using our real skills and talents to equip our folks as best as possible. But in that, we might have trauma in our own lives that are triggered by reading these reports. We might have overprotection of our kids, and we don't want them to go out because all we see is murder, rape, robbery, assault, right?
Oh my God. Every time I drop my kids off at school, I'm like, okay, today this is going to be okay.
Yes.
It's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Human trafficking analysts. We have analysts who study human trafficking or environmental analysis, looking to save animals. We have analysts who work for FBI, who do some federal work. We have serial profiling analysts who might study folks like Bundy and that sort of thing. And so, you have these analysts who are absorbing all of this negativity, right? Essentially, these crimes. We look at a burglary and we say, how would I feel if that was my house, my mother, my sister, my brother? And so a lot of times these very special people can go home and not be fully well with their families and so and with themselves. And so it's really important that this community in particular takes excellent care of themselves. And that means creating some solid boundaries with work, being excellent in work and being excellent at home. And so it really helps, when these people, these beautiful, amazing superstars are taking really good care of themselves, they're serving their departments better, they're showing up for their families better, they reduce their own stress levels, right? So their cortisol levels are not jacked, they're not susceptible to disease and illness and immune deficiencies. And so they're essentially we can save our economic system as well, our worldwide economic system.
I love this. I love this because you don't even people don't think about it. And I'm just learning about this now as you're speaking about it, because it's not something that I ever really knew about. But it's so interesting to see the ripple effect.
Yes. And these are brilliant people who do research and study and often get hired by these companies who, or the government, who will fund a study of recidivism or, anything in particular. So it is really important that, a lot of times these folks are forgotten, right? Maybe this person is behind a desk and they're not on the street center line, right? And so a lot of the wellness and policing programs are for those frontline staff members. And it should be, because they too are wonderful humans who need support. But a lot of times there's not this real effort for the people who are not face to face, but more behind the scenes, even though they still are having illness and sitting at their desks all day and crunched shoulders and unhealthy relationships. I mean, one of our clients, wonderful story, and a lot of these are workaholics too, right? So these are folks who are like giving of their hearts and souls. And so she would do just that. Things were tricky at home, so she would give just that at work. And so everything was poured into work. And this balance of home became obsolete. It just became like, nah, I don't get along with my kids. I forget what my husband looks like. And everybody's just over there. I'm going to focus in on work. Well, that's fine for temporary, but after a short period, something at work is going to trigger. And then next thing you know, this person is angry because they've given all this time to work. And they're like, what the heck? I'm supposed to be here. This is where I'm excelling. And all comes tumbling down. So they stretch so hard. They give up finances. They give up their families. They give up their health, and they focus everything in on work. And something happens there and things come tumbling down. And now you're left with this completely broken person, right? They can't get out of their ways. They can't build relationships. They struggle a lot. And so that's when we see them often. And so I will tell you that one particular woman, after working in our 6-month program, she turned around and fell in love with her husband again. She spends lots of time with him. She spends lots of time with her kids, and it's actually enjoyable for her. And the things that were happening at work, she learned how to create these boundaries where she would still feel valued and still feel like she was providing quality work, but not engulfed, not consumed by the work and improving herself.
And so, speaking of not being consumed, you have a free gift for everybody watching. It's the Life by Design download, where you are going to create clarity around your purpose and your skill set. So the best way to get it, it's long. So I'm actually going to put it right here.
And you don't have to be law enforcement to grab that. That is for everybody. It really is some of the basic principles that we look at in this book and we look at in our programs as we look at your holistic self, right? As a health coach, we want you to be completely healthy all around. So this guide, this Life by Design download is for anybody to really grab a handle on and spend some time with it. Take your time with it. It really is a wonderful gift, and I hope that it serves you well.
Thank you. Okay, so you guys grab it right here. Okay, so Dawn, remind us the name of your book one more time and tell us where we can grab a copy.
Yes. So this is it. It's called Bigger Than Data. And again, you don't have to be law enforcement to gain value from this. This is a work-life harmony book that gives you key things that you need to know to really balance. I hate that word, but I'm going to call it harmonize. Really harmonize the work that you love in service space and the home life that you love too, right? Your best self. And the way to get it is right on my website, excellenceinalytics.com. And there's a little tab there that says books. book rather, and it'll give you a link to purchase it there. It's $19.99 for purchase. You'll get an e-copy if you are outside of the United States, and if you're inside the United States, you'll get the hard book.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for being here today,
Thank
Dawn.
you.
I really appreciate it. Okay, the book is called Bigger Than Data, and you can grab that on her website. All right, everybody. Have